Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Josh Guillory Show. I am your grateful host. And in studio with me, nobody. Oh my goodness. My dear friend Joe Cunningham over there looking around. Oh yeah, it's right by me, Joe. Thank you so much. Looking around this studio for all these resources I have, and it's right by me. Well, I hope everybody is having such a great day today. It is a wonderful day because God made it a great day. And we have so many things going on in the state. So I think what's on everybody's mind, obviously, is the U.S. Senate race. We had Treasurer John Fleming on yesterday. I thought that his comments and his update from the campaign trail went very, very nice. I thought he handled it very well. Brought up some good things, maybe some things you're not hearing on the radio or the TV outside of certain outlets. But we got a lot of other things going on too. You know, today was very busy for the Supreme Court, very active. And we are live, by the way. Go check us out at rumble.com. Look up the Josh Giller Show, broadcasting live from Lafayette in the KPEL studios. So the Supreme Court handed President Trump what appears to be two major immigration victories today. Both decisions go directly on, or to one of, probably the biggest fights in America, which is, who gets to stay here? Who gets to come here? Who gets to decide? So here's what's happening. First, the court ruled that migrants stopped at the border before they actually enter the United States do not have a right to apply for asylum. That's a big one. That's pretty big. So second, the court ruled that migrants from countries like Haiti and Syria who are here under temporary protected status, TPS, they can't automatically use the courts to delay government's decisions to end that protection. So we have seen two major wins for the Trump administration. I'd say wins for America. But there is a much bigger story to this. The Supreme Court spent today reminding the country that words still have meaning. I mean, think about that first case, for example. The legal question was this, basically. Look, if someone is standing in Mexico and they never actually enter the United States, have they really arrived in the United States? That seems like a no-brainer. Of course they have not. But the Ninth Circuit disagrees with that. The Ninth Circuit says, yes, of course they have. So I guess if you're in, Colombia, as long as you're making your way up here, the Ninth Circuit might say that you have arrived. The Supreme Court today ultimately said, no, they disagree with that. Justice Alito wrote the opinion, and it reads almost like common sense. Look, you haven't arrived somewhere until you actually arrived, and until you've actually entered into the country. Well, that makes sense. Alito says you haven't arrived at a football game while you're still in the parking lot. Okay, I added that in. You haven't arrived at your neighbor's house while you're standing in the street. These are all things that are just kind of common sense. And you haven't arrived in the United States while you're standing in Mexico. My friends, I guess it took the Supreme Court of the United States to say that. I mean, think about that. Think about how absurd that is. Now, everybody has a right to their opinion, and I respect the federal judges and their opinion, the federal appellate courts. Their teams of lawyers and thousands of billable hours and millions of taxpayer dollars, years of litigation. I appreciate all that. I just think it's absurd to think that you've arrived somewhere that you haven't arrived. I think it's absurd that had to go all the way to the appellate court, much less the Supreme Court. And all to answer a question probably a 10-year-old could answer before dinner. If you're standing in Mexico, You're in Mexico. The second case involved that whole TPS, the temporary protective status. Notice the key word, temporary. We kind of gloss over that. You ever notice that? Some of the discussions on the national stage, they just kind of gloss, oh, cheap boy, they're here at TPS. What the? Temporary. Temporary. Congress created TPS to deal with emergencies like wars, natural disasters, political upheaval. And the idea was very simple. Conditions improve. The temporary protection ends. Somewhere along the way, though, Washington developed this habit. Washington will kind of do that every once in a while, as we have grown accustomed to. But temporary programs become permanent programs. Emergency powers become permanent powers. You see how that happens? This is just another example. We're just looking at immigration today. Short-term exceptions become long-term policy. That's exactly what the Supreme Court, though, answered today. You know, the people act shocked, when somebody reads the law the way it was actually written, but I think that's refreshing. The court did not rewrite the statute or invent any policy, no legislating from the bench at all. It simply read what Congress wrote, which I love that. And there's different schools of thought, schools of interpretation of law. You got originalists, you got textualists. Some folks say those are kind of a blend. Originalists believe that the constitutional interpretation of whatever provision in the Constitution you're looking at, it should have the same meaning at the time that it was written and put into the Constitution. A textualist is kind of what it sounds like. You look at the text, what does it read? Well, sometimes that can get issues. We can have issues. Take the Second Amendment, for example. People fight over the text all the time. Well, there's this comma. So then you go into originalism. What was the original intent? But all this is absurd to think about. Congress wrote it plain and clear. And that's why I think today's decision is really, it's more than refreshing. I'm happy to see it. Look, immigration is the headline, without a doubt. But the rule of law is the story. Once courts stop interpreting statutes, very, very clear, and they start improving them, I'm putting my air quotes, we've left the judicial branch and we've now entered into the legislative branch. Kind of wearing black robes, though, And most judges don't want to do that. I don't know if I've ever met, maybe I have and I didn't know, but most judges I see, they want to stay in the judiciary. They don't want to go into that legislative branch. But boy, we see a lot of examples. I also practice in Louisiana. Different, a little bit. But Americans are frustrated. Every legal question becomes hard. I think a lot of folks, I know I am, frustrated, because government keeps insisting simple questions require like years of litigation. That costs a lot of money. That costs a lot of time. Sometimes complicated cases deserve complicated answers. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes the answer is exactly what the words say. Are you in the United States? Or aren't you? Is temporary protection temporary? Or isn't it? And reasonable people can debate immigration policy all day long. Congress can change the law tomorrow or tonight if it wants. It's kind of like how our system works. But judges don't get to rewrite statutes because they prefer a different outcome, and I don't think that's what we saw. Today's decisions weren't really victories for a political party. I think it was victories for America, great policies. They were victory for the idea that judges interpret the law instead of rewriting them. And I think it is astonishing that in 2026 that even has to be said. So that's where we're at right now, guys. Man, let me tell you something. We'll be right back. I can't wait. Stick around. It's going to be a blast. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. We are broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. We're also broadcasting live on rumble.com. Rumble, like Rumble in the Jungle. Go check them out, and go check out my friends over there at Giles, Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. Man, I had a client come in, and he was talking about his experience with Giles, and we kind of started talking, and turns out he went to Giles Nissan. So I asked him, did you get the Pathfinder? Y'all know I've been on a kick with that all week. I don't know. Jamie and I saw one over the weekend, started thinking about it. But they still have the 2026 lines coming in, and you want to check that out because you know how it is. 2027 lines, yes, already. They're going to start coming out, in the near future. So maybe there's some things you can work out. Maybe there's things that you can't. But I tell you this, wide variety, great customer service, and the service team, the maintenance department. You can't beat it. Go to my friends over there, Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. Love it, love it, love it. All right, guys, and I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for being here and joining us today. I'm all solo, so my usual messengers who keep me in check, I certainly appreciate you. I will do a better job of checking my messages in the next break. But you know who you are, especially my prayer warrior. All right. So let's go. Let's switch topics here. We're going to move on to what's going on here with these blue states? What is happening? We talked about California the other day about banning Glocks. I just don't understand. Kamala Harris said she said she's packing. Y'all don't remember that? In the general. No, she would never say that in a primary. She said she has a Glock. She's packing. She's bringing the heat. Don't get mad at her. But I will say this. This is not and we kind of figured this to be true. If you remember, once California does it, the other states will follow, just like New York does things and California follows. They almost have a competition. Who can be the most extreme left? And I do question, does most Californians believe that? Do most New Yorkers outside New York City, which is, well, New York City can carry the state, I would imagine. I just don't think it's as high as the Democrat and left and rhino elites make it out to be. But let's dive right in. So we got 3 more blue states that just took aim at one of the most popular handguns, again, in America. Glock's popular. Glock's popular. We're going to open up our phone lines here next segment, 232-1542. You can tell me about your Glock, too, if you'd like. But this is kind of silly what we're going to break down in, okay? Or break it down. All right, 3 more blue states. They joined the fight. You got Maryland, you got Connecticut, and New York. And all within 3 days, or within days of each other. I think it was like 3 days. And that is not a coincidence. All right, so there's 3 states, just like California. I think it's pretty much identical. I can talk about the framework. I know I'm comfortable with that. But the laws target Glock pistols and similar firearms by calling them, check this out, you can't make it up, quote, convertible pistols. Now, what? Okay, all right. Because criminals can illegally install conversion devices that turn them into machine guns. If I just stopped right there and you don't have a background in all this stuff and you don't follow it, you might think, well, that's kind of makes sense because, yeah, we don't want bad guys doing that. We don't want anybody that's, a violent criminal being able to do that. But just like a topic we talked about yesterday, what seems good doesn't, there might be some other consequences, just like this. So let's slow this down just a little bit. Those conversion devices that the left is talking about, they're scared that the Glock will be turned into a machine gun. Well, those conversion devices are already illegal. Converting a handgun into a machine gun is already illegal. That's under federal law. Possessing the conversion device, already illegal in many states. I don't know about these. I would imagine they are. But using one during a crime, by the way, in most states or a lot of states, would likely even bring more charges. So now that you know more about that, because those little facts are often left out, but now that you kind of hear that, I bet you're asking an obvious question. If criminals are already violating multiple felony statutes, why is the answer to regulate the people who actually obey the law? I don't know. Either the left knows this and they're wrong, or they don't know what I'm about to say and they're wrong. Those policies right there, when you just legislate morality and things like that, it only leaves the guns and the weapons with the criminals and the government. The people get screwed. There's only three groups here: we the people, we the government, and criminals. Criminals don't care about your statutes. They'll make it into a machine gun if they want to. The government, do we really? I mean, we now what? Now we arm IRS agents. I hope Trump ends that. So we want to arm the government more? No. So let's I know the solution. Let's go ahead and punish all the law-abiding citizens, because these guys who are not going to follow your law anyway, they may do something that scares us. That's my take on it. I bet you that's a take of a lot of folks. You can't legislate morality. You can't legislate do the right thing. You can add deterrence. You can add some consequences to behavior that might motivate the rest of society to possibly make choices that would be different. But you cannot, with just words on paper, just all of a sudden sign a bill on Capitol Hill and everybody's good. No criminals are going to do this. Well, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, the gun control movement has learned, because again, it's always something bigger. You know, we get the surface and then we dive into it. The gun control movement has learned something. I mean, they've been losing in the courts. They've been losing in the courts. The Supreme Court has made very clear that commonly owned firearms receive constitutional protection. That's interesting. Think about that. Commonly owned firearms. I just want to pause there for a little bit, because you always, when you have this debate about right to bear arms, well, they had muskets back then. Well, that was commonly owned firearms. I mean, it's a take on it. Some people are going to disagree, say, no, you can't. Yeah, then you have the other side, the other part of the extreme. Well, should we have bazookas? We'll open up the phone lines next segment. I want to see. We need bazookas out there? Probably have to get a license for that, I would imagine. But instead of banning handguns outright, notice what the left and rhinos are doing. They've changed tactics. I mean, look here in Lafayette, for example. There was a slick little move there for a little bit to make gun control a thing downtown. Thankfully, we the people spoke up. So thankful for that. And it was clever. It was clever maneuvering. The Science Museum, we worked together with the university. The university took over the Lafayette Science Museum my first year, maybe second year in office. Over time, over a 3-year period, saved the taxpayers and the city general fund about $1.1 million. It's wonderful. And look, let the scientists run the Science Museum. That's my theory. But regardless, the university's doing a great job over there. But there was push in City Parish Hall, or I think they call it City Hall, that in Lafayette to get real clever. And hey, that's the university that now runs the Science Museum. That's a school. Ooh, school? That's a gun-free zone. How many feet? What can we do? Not to not realizing that there's a gun shop right in the heart of downtown that has a really good selection. And there might be some others too. But total look, I'm sorry, but if you go to downtown, if you live there and Friday or Saturday night, Thursday night, and you happen to have to be out, so now you wouldn't be able to protect yourself. Again, the folks that want to violate the law do not care about what you write in the law. Okay? But we're going to take us a tiny little break. When we get back, we are going to open up those phone lines, and I can't wait. 232-1542. Let me hear from you. All right, guys, stick around. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. We are broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Man, let me tell y'all about my friends over there at Dr. Kevin. Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. Look, you want to feel better, you want to look better, you want to maybe, I can't guarantee it, but maybe he will. I'm kidding. But you just want to possibly add to your wellness regimen, or potentially even get off some medication that you wanted to get off of for a while, and maybe you need to go through a different type of approach. But go check him out. He will shoot you straight for sure, and no qualms about it. 983-CARE, 983-CARE, and these phone lines are wide open. I know it's getting close to a holiday. Every time it's close to a holiday, you make me feel all lonesome on the radio, but that's okay. I understand. Got to get out and travel. That's good. All right, guys. So let's go back to this topic. The Supreme Court, again, handed the administration, and I would say common sense, and I would say the country, major wins. 2 major wins here. We talked about that last segment, okay? So just bringing everybody back into up to speed before we go into the next one or finish this other topic. All right, so you had Justice Alito announcing that opinion. We covered that in the first 2 segments, pretty hot and heavy. We then picked up on this Glock ban. Remember, California, the other day we had talked about that. California issued its Glock ban. Kamala Harris was upset because she said she had a Glock. I wonder if she forgot. What do y'all think she would say right now? If she was interviewed after the laughing, you have to get over the pleasantries. I was going to say awkward pleasantries, but that wouldn't be nice. I'm not saying that. I watched something on Netflix, The American Experiment, I think it's called. I started it last night. Fell asleep. But they must have had a theme of vice presidents. You had Al Gore on there. You had Kamala Harris on there. You had Mike Pence on there. So everybody's probably pitchforks for the first 2. And then the last one, they're like, hey, wait a minute here. All right. So let's see here. Bear with me, guys. I'm all by my lonesome on the board today. We do have a call coming in. Let's see if I can do this right. Caller, you're live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? That's all me, caller. That's not you. Bear with me. I'm gonna figure this out. All righty. Well, let's keep on with this. So 3 more blue states, in addition to California, of course, has joined the ban, and joined the band to have a ban. Maryland, Connecticut, New York. Within a few days, they all joined the club. The same old, the laws target all these Glock pistols. They say they're concerned that criminals will get this and make them into a machine gun. And we went over, well, if we just slow this down and actually look at what the law says, all of those concerns are already banned by law. So if you really think about it, all we're going to do with this continued gun control is just make sure that the government and criminals have guns, but we the people do not. I think that's ultimately what the left wants. But look, instead of banning handguns outright, they just changed the tactics. I mentioned one in Lafayette that was pretty in everybody's face, if you ask me. But it can happen anywhere. They changed the label. They redefined firearm. They create a new category. They argued that the newly created category can be banned. That's another tactic. You see that more. I got to admit, using the Lafayette Science Museum, that was clever. That was outside the box, because we usually see this kind of stuff. The far left, they'll create these Democrat-led states, these rhino-led cities, counties, and parishes. They'll create this brand new thing to worry about, this category in this case. And then they'll ban what they got everybody scared on. It's probably one of the oldest tricks in the DNC. Gets recycled. Hey, look, if you can't change the Constitution, I guess, then change the definition. Oh, well, okay. Because look, here's the deal. Today, yeah, it's a convertible pistol. Got it. Tomorrow it'll be something else. Tomorrow it'll be something else. It's inevitable. This is way bigger than California, these other 3 states. It's bigger than a Glock. It's bigger than this one Glock ban. The reasoning is crazy. But Glock didn't become America's most popular handgun, because of politics. I'm just throwing that out there. Likely, it became popular probably because people trust it. I mean, police officers carry them. Millions of law-abiding Americans across our country carry Glocks. First-time gun owners buy them because they're reliable. You don't have to worry about the jamming as much. They're affordable, pretty simple to operate. Ladies choose many of the smaller models. Fits their hands better, from what I'm told. I mean, it's not like this is some exotic weapon hiding in the shadows. It's been around for a hot minute. But we're going to take a tiny little few minutes of a break. The last segment will be a lot longer. I'm going to figure out these phone lines because they're lighting up and I want to hear from you. All right, guys, look, stick around. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. We are broadcasting live from the KPEL Studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go check us out at rumble.com. Guys, I figured out the phone system. Call us in, 232-1542. Tell me about your Glock. Tell me about your guns. Tell me what you think. Am I wrong? Am I being too extreme? Should we trust the government more? Am I being too harsh on my friends in New York and California? And the other ones. Jeez. You know, my thing is this. And it's not just my thing. It's a lot of people's thing. You know, you give the government power, you got to watch it. I mean, this is kind of like I said, a common sense weapon. Really, really no-brainer here, kind of easy. But look, once the government establishes that it can prohibit one of the most commonly used, owned, possessed handguns in America, well, every other firearm becomes easier to regulate. Think about that. I'll tell you who has some thoughts on that. My boy, Sean. What's up, Sean? Well, back to operator error. I'm going to make it up to us, though. I'm going to make it up to us. Maybe Joe's listening, and he can come tell me what button to press. Sorry, Sean. Sorry to our audience. Oh, my goodness. We're going to figure this out, though. It's probably one little tiny little thing that yours truly is not pressing, but that's okay. All right. Now, once government does all that, once government establishes that, oh, yeah, we can do this, well, what's to say, oh, what, you're going to stop at BB gun? Y'all think we can survive that? Pellet gun? What about a little 410? Can we do that? Or is that still, I mean, I don't want to talk too loud here. My friends in New York may take us up on that. But notice the trend. Notice where it starts. You know, that they're not going to come out and say, hey, guys, we're taking all your guns. No. It just starts with just this one. Just this one. No, look, guys, y'all keep all your other stuff. It's just this one. Oh, just this feature. No, it's just this model. It's just this one exception. Y'all chill out. Then next year comes another exception. It's like these constitutional amendments. Then another. The Second Amendment wasn't written to protect hunting, okay? It was written because the founders loved target shooting. I'm kidding. Man, that thing was written because they understood something every generation probably eventually relearns. Rights are almost never lost all at once. They're surrendered one piece at a time. And that's why it's so profound, those two Supreme Court cases we talked about earlier in the week. D.C. versus Heller. That's a 2008 case. City of Chicago versus McDonald. That's a 2011 case. One was from D.C., obviously, different kind of rules. The other one was a city of Chicago. So different kind of rules. No police power in a city, by the way. Police power belongs to the state. But regardless, the Supreme Court said, yes, of course, the Second Amendment protects you in a city from city ordinances. Yes, the Second Amendment protects you in the District of Columbia from any of those silly rules. But what if the court didn't? I mean, it wasn't too long ago in 1995, I believe, a case called Lopez, where the Supreme Court had just limited Article 1, Section 8, Commerce Clause powers of Congress. That was very, very big. Because before then, Congress was, from the New Deal all the way to Lopez in 1995, that's what Congress was relying on to pass pretty much everything. That was their federal power that they would rely on. So just something to think about, something to process, because it really does not change the process of taking these rights. The right changes. The freedom may change, but the process that they go at to take it does not. But rights are not given away at once. That's the learning lesson. That's the learning lesson, you know? But let's move on here. Now, what I'm thinking here is trust. We got some trust issues. I very much I think, very healthy, wise, skeptical trust of government. I think most folks listening and watching are wise to have a healthy distrust, skepticism of government, no matter what level. All right, let's go to Trump again. So the Trump administration, they're proposing a new rule involving mail-in ballots, and Democrats are losing their mind. They're calling it authoritarian. I keep asking. Maybe you ask some of your Democrat friends or your Rhino friends. Just ask them. Let's say you have a pen pal in Seattle. I want you to get $2,000, or let's just say $100 in $5 bills, okay? You got $25 in there, $25 bills in there. Who's confident that it's going to make it all the way to the pen pal? All of it. If you put $10,000 in an envelope, who's confident 100% of the time that it's getting to the recipient? I am not terribly confident at that. Who's confident that we know 100%, or hey, let's give them some standard deviation, 95%, that's a high standard deviation for an election, I would imagine. I hope that's a high standard of deviation. But let's say 95%, okay? You're telling me 95% of the people that sent in those ballots, or these ballots, you think y'all are confident? No. Of course not. But apparently, trying to have election integrity, trying to make sure that one person legally votes one time, that seems to be authoritarian. I think that's the opposite of authoritarian. This is democracy. Every time an illegal vote is cast, it waters down a legal vote. Not hard to comprehend if we think about it. All right, so here's what happened. You got the U.S. Postal Service says that under a proposed rule, it would stop delivering mail-in ballots in states that refuse to provide voter information needed to verify that ballots are going to eligible voters. Okay, federal election, trying to get some kind of understanding and confidence that all 50 states and territories are complying, at least with the law. You always have your own flavors of each state issue, running elections. But that's the proposal. Now, the administration says it's about making sure the right ballot goes to the right voter. That seems to be the intent. Opponents say that it's an attempt by the federal government to pressure states that run their own elections. If you're participating, state, in an unlawful way, the federal government does have a vested interest in knowing about it. This is not out in the... I think it would be the opposite if you would say, hey, if you're following the law, you're going to be in trouble. Well, that would cause some headache. But all the Trump administration is saying, hey, guys, I just need to make sure that it's one person voting one time legally. I'm enforcing the law. It's the executive branch. This is one of these areas where it's narrow. We feel the federal government has jurisdiction, which I think they do on this. Can't necessarily tell them how to run their election, but you can. I think that this would pass constitutional muster. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it wouldn't. Love to see that debate. Supreme Court's been very active. Very active. So, all right. But, guys, that's all the time we have. I'm looking at that. Oh, my goodness. All right, we're going to go into hour number 2 right after this break. I'm telling you, stick around. It's going to be a blast. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Josh Guillory Show, hour number 2. I am very happy to be here with you. Let me tell you about my friends over there at Giles Nissan. Go check them out. Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. Great selection. Still got that 2026 line coming in. Look at their Facebook page too, guys. They always have something going on. Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. We certainly appreciate you guys. We're broadcasting live on the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Also on Rumble, rumble.com, like Rumble in the jungle. Look up the Josh Guillory Show. Also on X and all the things at Josh Guillory USA on X. All right, guys, Sean and crew, I think I got it figured out. I had one little knob that wasn't turned up. So the phone lines are going to be open the whole hour. So go ahead and give us a call, 232-1542. I want to hear from you, 844-766-6607. I really want to hear from you to make sure I'm doing it right. But yes, I think we're good. Let's rock and roll. We'll get through this together, guys. I'm having fun anyway. Okay, so just to bring us back to the Postal Service story, really the mail-in ballots. Essentially, the Trump administration, or the U.S. Postal Service, says that under a proposed rule, it's going to stop delivering mail-in ballots, to states that refuse to provide voter information needed to verify that ballots are going to eligible voters. Well, that would make sense to me. And I think that would make sense to a lot of folks if you think about it. So that's the proposal. The administration says it's about making sure the right ballot goes to the actual voter it's intended to do. Can anybody be upset about that? No way. No way. I don't think so, at least. Most folks don't think so, at least. I would imagine that it's kind of common sense. Opponents say that it's an attempt by the federal government to tell the states what to do and run their own elections. I just love when Democrats argue states' rights. It's one of my favorite things. I don't know why. Perhaps I need more hobbies. It's just fascinating to me. We should hold on to that as much as we can. But if you separate the politics from the principle, and there's a lot of commissioners out there probably listening right now at these elections. You guys know it's not about politics. Every election has one job. One. That's it. Convince the American people that the outcome was legitimate. That is it. So, if half the country believes the system isn't trustworthy, the damage goes far beyond who wins and who loses. Public confidence starts disappearing. So ask yourself a question here, just a simple question. Should election officials know who they're mailing ballots to? I don't think that's some radical idea. If we're mailing ballots to voters, shouldn't somebody verify that the voter rolls are accurate? Shouldn't somebody make sure that ballots aren't being sent to people who have moved, died, or otherwise are ineligible to vote? Seems like that would be important. That is, it's not voter suppression. I mean, look at it as quality control. I don't know how to get to these folks. And I understand, there may be some concerns from the other side. The Constitution. It's hard to say this when I'm talking about blue states, but the Constitution gives states the primary responsibility for administering elections. So I love the fact that our dear friends on the left, they're saying all this, stop messing with us states. We know what we're doing. Big brother don't need to be in our backyard unless it's one of our causes. Then we need you. But I don't think it's a minor point. I think we should acknowledge it. Yes, you're right. But see, here's the federal election. Federalism does matter. We are a republic of 50 sovereign states. States have rights, no doubt. Washington, doesn't get this unlimited authority simply because it thinks its intentions are good or it thinks that it's a federal issue. This just happens to be one. But those are legitimate constitutional questions. Hey, if the proposal exceeds federal authority, well, I would imagine the courts are going to tell us that. That's how our system is supposed to work. But you got some politicians, though, that act like asking for accurate voter information is somehow an attack on democracy. How can they say that and not laugh? So making sure that the person voting is the person that they say they are, so that one person that's eligible to votes one time, that is suppressing democracy. That is a hit on democracy. Man, you can't make this up. We're attacking democracy, guys, because we want to make sure the people that are voting, well, we want to make sure that those are the right folks. I don't see it that way. Not at all. Banks verify identities before handing over your money. They should. I got my bank, I go in there, I've been banking for years, and sometimes they still ask for my ID. No biggie. No biggie. No biggie at all. All right, let's see here. Big Chris. What's up, Big Chris? I think I pressed the right button.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
What's up, Big Chris?
Josh, what you're talking about. I think these people don't understand it. A lot of people are starting to tune out. Yeah. Perfect example, my wife. She's very politically active like I am. But she told me the night, baby, I just can't do it no more. And I started thinking, there's a lot of people like me, and most of them are on the GOP side because we actually work. We have to do things. And I started thinking, why is the Democrats they never stop. They're like cancer. They never stop. But then I started thinking about it. They're getting paid. And the rank and file Democrats are good people. I mean, they are. They kind of listen
Agreed.
to the mainstream media and the politician. I think they're thinking that they're the Democrats of the past, but they're good people. It's the fringe that's all you see, and they're paid for by these whoever, George Soros types. And what's going to happen whenever civilization collapses? Because if they keep going this route, it's going to happen. It's happened over and over through history. You can just go down the line. And we're not immune to that. We feel we are, but we're not immune to that. If we let this continue to go on, it's going to get bad. It ain't going to get any worse,
Well, you make some good points, Big Chris. As always, we just got to build trust, man. That's what I'm thinking. I hate to hear things like your wife, basically having apathy, just done with it. I mean, she, like all of the rest of us, see just big old kids acting like children. Not all of them. We got some good ones out there. We really do. We got some good ones out there.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, Big Chris, shout out to my boy Robert D. Benoit just joined us on Rumble, the chat, Angry Volk, and all these other guys, too. I can't see you way up at the top. I know some folks chatting earlier. You can join us, too. What else you got, Big Chris?
No, I was just saying, it hit me hard when she said it because she's so staunch, into politics. I mean, that's all she watches, the news channels. But she's giving it up, man. And I'm like, man. And it's a struggle like Weight Watchers. You keep fighting and it keeps coming back. You keep fighting. It's like, where's the end of the rain? The end of the rainbow. When do we win? And if we win, I believe. If the GOP wins, the conservatives win, this country will be great again. But if we can't stop. We can't stop fighting, and it's hard, man. Especially when you got other responsibilities. These people rioting, they have no response. I even saw on the news that they're actually getting paid and have 401ks. So that's their job to riot. So this is insane. How can we fight that? How can we fight that?
Well, and I'll add to the frustration, these guys, this is what they do, so this is their job, like you said. And we the people,
exactly.
We have regular jobs and families and things that we're trying to work out and juggle and manage, just like, but, Chris, Big Chris, we just got to stay vigilant, man, and not the corny, like, hey, let's stay the course. Just when you feel yourself getting down, just understand that other folks are with you, and just don't quit. Just don't quit
Well,
because
I'm
you know.
I'm a pit bull. If you ever meet me, you'll understand. I'm a pit bull. I ain't giving up nothing. If I got both knees broken, I'm still gonna fight.
That's why me and you are
But
friends, though, Big Chris. Remember that. We're friends. No enemies here, buddy.
I'll bite you if I have to.
Hey, you gotta
But
do what you gotta
but
do.
not everybody. Not everybody's like that, and I didn't think of it until my wife told me this the other night. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we're gonna lose by attrition if this happens,
Hey, look, but Big Chris, pray for our country, man. I'm going on a hard break. I gotta let you go. Thanks for calling in, Big Chris in the hizzy.
All right.
All right, Big Chris. All right, guys, stick around. We're gonna be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Also broadcasting live on Rumble, rumble.com. Let me see over there at rumble.com. We got the phone lines open. Thank you guys for being patient with me. 232-1542, 844-766-6607. All right, here. Caller, you're live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Todd East from Youngsville.
What up, Todd? Where life is
Hey,
sweeter.
what's going on, my friend?
Oh, brother, I'm good. Thanks for calling in. It's been a while since I heard from you, man. What you
I
got
know.
going over
I've been
there?
busy. You know, I wanted to call and tell somebody very special to me. Happy birthday! It was yesterday.
Please do
Mr.
it.
Albert Guillory, Mr. Guillory,
Yes.
our friend.
Happy birthday, Senator Albert Guillory. Late birthday.
Yes, it's Albert.
Todd, you still there?
Who?
Go ahead, Todd. I'm sorry. I clicked off of you. Yeah, happy birthday to Albert Guillory, Senator Albert Guillory. I certainly appreciate that. How's Ann doing?
Hey, Josh.
Yes. Oh, is this
It's
Sean?
It's Sean, dude. You are the worst.
Oh, no. Okay. I think I took us all off. Sean, you there? Call back, guys. I am so sorry for that. I apologize. I usually do good on the phones. It's the only thing that I did do well. Anyway, yeah, guys, call back in. I'm so sorry, but happy birthday to my dear cousin, Albert Guillory. I certainly appreciate all that he does for sure. Let's try this again. All right, Sean, I ain't touching it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I like Big Chris's analogy there. He's a pit bull, but let me tell you what happens to pit bulls in this society. They get picked up, they get taken to the pound, they're not allowed to be adopted, and they get euthanized on Tuesdays. So that's just how it is, man. I mean, I agree with them. You know, right is right. If we would just enforce the laws that we have on the books, it wouldn't even matter. Everything would be fine, but anybody who makes noise gets oiled, you know? So, no, I get it, man. You know, I think Trump is best in court. I don't know what his percentage of wins. First of all, he's a horrible fascist. If he's a fascist, he's horrible at his job.
Yeah.
Mussolini's rolling in his grave right now because when he loses a court battle, he says, okay, and just walks away and doesn't do anything. He's horrible. So anyway,
He's the worst fascist we've seen.
That's what I'm saying. He's a horrible fascist. He's terrible. Anyway, but no, let's oh boy, Chip Roy came out today and said something about the SAVE Act. Now, Chip Roy is not in favor, and I think he lost his race. He's saying basically if the Senate won't pass it, the House of Representatives did. If Senate won't pass it, then what are we doing? So it was a good point. So, but anyway, hang in there, Big Chris, and you know.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's the most important thing in our lifetime. And you know why Mondami and all of his people won? 40% of New York are immigrants and non-U.S. citizens. How are they voting in the first place? So there's your answer.
Well, and you know, Sean, you have Trump that's fighting to do what he can. You know, just making sure. Look, post office not going to mail in any mail-in ballots to states that can't prove that they're following the rules. And then you have the Senate over here, supposed to be majority Republican, and I think it's a majority American, if I'm not mistaken. I think all of them are American. Well, are they? All of them are American. Be pro-America.
I don't know what's an American. Yeah.
Vote the SAVE Act. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
All right, call back in, guys, 232-1542. It was all lit up, and then I just messed it all up. I apologize. But I think that this whole mail-in ballot thing, I mean, this is a no-brainer. I mean, this is not something that we should be debating. This is not something that is very I just think it's just a few people pushing it for the masses and just abusing. Clearly. All right, guys, let's switch gears down. Hey, there's a race going on. It's Saturday, by the way. We were blessed to have one of the candidates for U.S. Supreme Court come on the show yesterday. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody. You know, you got Julia Letlow over there on one side. You got John Fleming on the other side. Biden for this U.S. Senate race here in Louisiana. Well, a lot of folks are saying it's coming down to the wire. And really, I think it's going to come down to who shows up. Who shows up. All right, so here's where we are. Just a few weeks ago, Congresswoman Julia Letlow looked like the clear favorite, very clear favorite. She came out of the primary with a 17-point lead, 45%. Trump endorsed her. Governor Landry's endorsed her. More money and more money and more money. And the backing of much of Louisiana's political establishment. How many state reps endorsed her? How many state senators? Carlson said he's staying out of it. Okay, I just want to clarify if my boy's listening. I want to lump you in. I get it. Wise man. Wise man. And really, wise man. Because I like folks to, man, you guys, everybody's smart. Go make your own decision. Endorsements, I guess, are not horrible, but I don't know. It just seems something's different this time, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. Let's see what this fine caller has to say. Caller, you're live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
LT.
What's up, Mr. Bobby? What you got?
Yeah, after the conversation you had with Fleming yesterday, you said you slipped that right in there. I know you did it on purpose. You said, "Well, we'll see you later, Senator Fleming," and you correct yourself.
No, I didn't even think about it. I said that.
Yeah, you said it. You slipped it in.
Well,
you gotta watch these military people.
You know what? You better. Exactly. How you doing, Mr.
Yeah,
Bobby?
but here's the deal.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Governor Landry shouldn't be endorsing people. But I understand he's the ass licker anyway.
Mr. Bobby, come on now. Hey, look, guys and gals have the right to endorse folks. I get all that. It just seems very, very just different this time. I don't know. I've never seen maybe I just haven't noticed it. And maybe that's a strong sign. Maybe it's a weak sign. Maybe I don't know what it signals, okay? But I am just telling you, yours truly has never seen this type of endorsement and push, like organized approach in the history of my lifetime. But I could be totally wrong. I know this gentleman, he's going to bring a smile to my face. Mr. Blue Wave. What's up, Mr. Blue Wave?
All right. Y'all ready?
We're ready. Give it to us.
Miss Judy, Miss Judy Lolette, or Mr. Flipper, or Jamie Davis will win.
Okay.
Jamie Davis will win against one of those two.
All right, Mr. Hey,
okay, I got to correct myself. Hold on.
Go ahead.
It's Judy Letlow.
I know where you
and
come from.
John Fleming. Not Flipper. Fleming.
Thanks, Mr. Blue Wave. I appreciate you. That's my buddy. Give us a call in, 232-1542, 232-1542, 844-766-6607. We're going to take us a tiny little break. Guys, when we get back, don't you go anywhere. Right in action. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. We're also broadcasting live on Rumble.com, like Rumble in the Jungle. Look up the Josh Guillory Show, and we can't wait to hear from you. 232-1542, 844-766-6607. So let's talk about this U.S. Senate race. It is hot and heavy. It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to come down to the who's going to show up. I don't know what the machine looks like. I don't know. Is the machine money through ads and all this stuff? Because I don't know how many more ads can be. I just don't know how many more ads can be purchased or run, especially those attack ads. But we'll see who shows up, But again, it wasn't too long ago, Congresswoman Letlow, it looked like she was going to sail in. 45% of the vote, I believe, when the first round, 17% race. And look, maybe she rides that and wins 60-40. But there is some articles out today, and it seems like the race looks mightily different right now. Multiple polls or that several articles are citing show State Treasurer John Fleming has erased most, if not all, of that lead. One poll has it tied. Another has Fleming ahead. The Letlow campaign says its polling shows her ahead by 7. And at this point, nobody really knows. And by the way, they could all be right. Again, it's gonna come down to who all shows up. You got some fired up folks. In my neck of the woods in South Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, it looks one way for sure. And that tide had changed. Other areas of the state, maybe not. But it's going to be close. Very close. And that's why you're seeing what we're seeing over these final 72 hours. You got President Trump. He's recording messages. You've seen that out there. I heard earlier other folks endorsing Julia Letlow on that. He's holding a tele-rally. Outside groups, they are spending some cash, millions and millions and millions of dollars. Mail pieces are flooding mailboxes. Text messages are hitting phones. If I get another text, doggone it. Television ads everywhere. We've seen it. If this race weren't competitive, none of that would be happening. Think about that. Campaigns don't just spend millions trying to save elections they think they've already won. That is for sure. But on the issues, if you think about it, there's really, it's really isn't a lot of daylight between these two candidates from a Republican standpoint. Both call themselves conservatives. Both support President Trump. Both campaign on border security. Both support the Second Amendment. Both are asking Republican voters for the same coalition. So what's happened? What's happened? The closing days have become a battle over records, old statements, credibility. Outside groups launched sharp attacks against John Fleming over comments from years ago that may or may not have been in context. Fleming says those ads leave out the fact that he immediately corrected himself, and he points to his record in Congress in the first Trump administration. He was in the first Trump administration. Meanwhile, Letlow is leaning heavy on these endorsements. Seems like there's some organization going on. The political network seems to be supporting her campaign. What do you guys think about that? And then there's turnout. That's the big one. Big one. Political professionals, they'll tell you campaigns are won on television. Yeah, they also get 15% of the ads too. They make money on TV. They make money on digital. They don't make money on signs. They don't make money on door knocking. They don't make money on anything other than that. So yeah, I bet they do say it works. But and what is television these days? Who all is looking at that? it's not as much as we used to, because they've lost our trust. And now we have a bunch of these podcasts that I'm blessed that you're joining me on right now. So we're getting more and more of those across the country, and I think that's where folks are getting their news. It can be vetted a little bit more. You got callers to call in, say, "You're wrong, Guillory," or "You're right." I'll take them both. Veteran campaign operatives, they're going to tell you that campaigns are won on election day. The grassroots folks, get them out. We got lists. We're calling you. We're knocking on your door. Come on out. Might give you some chicken. I'm kidding. Kidding. Maybe. Early voting was down, apparently. Overall turnout expected to be very low. This is a primary. This is not the U.S. Senate election. It's a primary, so you're going to get some folks that probably pay attention to this a lot. But low turnout, which means just a small group, can heavily influence. Low turnout elections, enthusiasm matters. It is a big, big driving force. Organization matters. Got to be structured, got to be disciplined. Getting your supporters to actually vote. Don't just skip it. Don't go hunting. That's not the case now. Everybody already knows the answer to the biggest question, because it's not whether, Louisiana is conservative. For the most part, we are. The question is, which campaign does the better job identifying its voters, number one, reminding them to vote, and then getting them to the polls, motivating them to go to the polls. So we're going to find out Saturday for sure. We're going to find out Saturday, and one thing is already very clear. A race that many people thought was very much over just a month ago, has become one of the closest statewide elections Louisiana has seen in quite some time. I'm sure hoping we have the answer Saturday. I don't see why we shouldn't. But regardless of which candidate comes out on the top, we're going to figure out how much these endorsements matter. Or do they matter at all? I think they're going to matter. I think they're going to help bridge the gap of folks that want to participate but hasn't had the time to research the candidates. Maybe that impacts them in a positive way, maybe in a negative way. I hear a lot of folks saying they're not voting for one person just because of all the endorsements. But I can see in areas of our state where folks are just busy, and maybe they're not the deepest politicos, but they want to vote in this Republican primary. I could see where President Trump, of all people, his endorsement probably could go a long way. But you got the governor, you got the congressman, you got a whole bunch of folks. So, but I got a whole bunch of folks that I love that I can't wait to come back and see. Give us a few minutes, guys. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Y'all go visit my friends over there at Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. Love those guys over there. Hey, and while you're in that Giles Nissan, drive it all the way over to Dr. Kevin's at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic here in Lafayette, 983 CARE. Two great gentlemen right there. I certainly appreciate it. We're going to go to my friend Ashley, who is calling in. I think Ashley wants to talk about Trump. I don't know if it's good or bad. We're going to find out. Let's see here. Ashley, thanks for holding. What you got?
No, it's good. Your producer must still be at La Fonda. He's in the bar.
He needs to come back.
Yes, because they closed it too, and he's still in there. But anyway, you know what? President Trump likes to be around attractive women, and that's why I think he endorsed her.
You think
nothing
so?
wrong with that?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because if you ever looked at any Democrat women, oh my God, they're all ugly. I yield back.
Ashley, how can I follow that? I've met plenty of nice Democrat ladies that are just confused and need to come on the Republican side. That's it. But don't you bring those liberal views with you. We don't need rhinos. I'd rather deal with a Democrat that I know is a Democrat. It's just easier. Everybody just stay in your own corner. So we'll see. Phone lines, last segment, guys. Phone lines are going to stay open, 232-1542. Appreciate Ashley, all the guys, Sean, Big Chris, whoever called in. Thank y'all. Appreciate this chat on Rumble. It's hot and heavy today. Appreciate that. But we'll see, man. Both camps are finishing strong here in the last sprint. Man, I've been here before, been there, 2 days, 48 hours away, just over 48 hours, and man, some of it you feel, I would imagine, there's not much more you can do. Other way of looking at it is like, well, this is my final push. I'm going to go all the way to the end. Seems to be my approach. But plenty of consultants will tell you, you've done all you can do. Yeah, they've made all their media buys. Maybe y'all did all what you can do. But there's more to it than that. All right, I'm going to try to fit this topic in. We'll see. I think we have enough time. All right, most people couldn't name, I would imagine, maybe here recently, but we got 5 public service commissioners. Can you name all 5? I can't name all 5, I'll be honest. I know of 2 off the top of my head. And then the third one, because one of the guys was running for Senate at one point. But I will say this. You may not know your public service commissioner, but I would imagine you know exactly what your electric bill looks like or comes close to it. Come close to knowing what it looks like. And this election, by the way, this election cycle does include a public service commission election. It's not here in Acadiana, but on Saturday, voters in southeast Louisiana, they're going to choose between State Representative Stephanie Hilferty and former Jefferson Parish President John Young in the Republican runoff for District 1 seat on the Louisiana Public Service Commissioner. Look at that. A primary in the Public Service Commission, a board of 5 people. I love it. Why did the Senate water down all these other elections? The House did it right. I don't care if it's dog catcher. There should be a primary. That's how you prevent cities from becoming led by rhinos. It's the only way, in my opinion. Well, it's one of the only ways. All right, let's see here. Let's stay on the phone lines. Caller, you're live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Evan Lafayette.
What's up, Evan? What you got, buddy?
Hey, so to stay on the topic of that public service commissioner, I know what they're supposed to do, but what do they actually do other than draw a paycheck?
Ooh, it's a decent paycheck, too. Part-time gig.
Got
a little staff.
I mean, I've never seen any difference in utility rates or those types of things going back and forth. Oh, spam trying to call in. Oh. I think that's one of those offices that could probably be eliminated.
Ooh, well,
1 for the whole state, not 5.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. That's Evan. I appreciate your call. Man, a lot of folks probably agreeing with that. So I have a little experience with this. Somebody's got to regulate. It kind of goes into, well, who? So you got this board. It seems like 5 doesn't seem like the right number. I don't know why. Evan had suggested one. Okay, one commissioner. That might. I tell you what, one may make more sense than 5. 12 or well, you don't want an even number, but maybe 13 or 15 possibly could look. And I'm not for bigger governments. You can lower the salaries if you want. But regardless, figure it out. But someone regulates this industry. If rates seem to be high, the Public Service Commissioner can go in. Rate hikes have to be approved. Think of it almost as an independent, like a council to when I was in office, or take me out. The mayor president of Lafayette, for example, has the council to regulate over LUS. They're the governing body. The mayor president executes, enforces things like that. So these private companies, at least in Louisiana, so your Slimpco's, Entergy, things like that, they have to go through the public, or they're overseen by the Public Service Commissioner. I am sure there's way more that goes into it than what I just rattled off, but Evan brings up a pretty doggone good point in the sense that, this what really is going on? What do they do? And maybe, but I'll tell you, I know Mike Francis. Got to know him over the years. Really, really good dude. I know that he works hard and he's knowledgeable, man. He helped me bring together a lot of folks. I'm all about building coalitions and working together, get some synergy, efficiency, do more with less, all that kind of stuff. And Mike, Commissioner Francis, was pretty instrumental in bringing a lot of folks together here in Lafayette, across the state. I think we even had some folks from Arkansas, other places in the MISO grid and elsewhere. Here in Lafayette, we got John Paul Couson. A lot of folks know him. So that might be a name, but still, Public Service Commission as a whole, that's interesting because you got 5 seats, but this one election, District 1, that's going to go into a runoff. So check it out. PSC, basically, when you're looking at, I mentioned regulation, it's not just your electric bill. You also look at natural gas, wastewater, water. Even portions of the telecommunications industry. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. I wish we had more time to visit. Oh, my goodness. I certainly appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for these 2 hours, guys. Everybody be careful out there. May God bless you and be kind.